Good morning, everybody, and welcome to your morning Newcastle United news right here on the Toon Review. Thank you very much for tuning in. My name's Paul, and of course, I'm joined by Meow Mucker, Billy Bob, to go through all the breaking news at Newcastle United. As usual, if you do enjoy this morning's show, please do give it the thumbs up, even if you're watching on a replay. And of course, if you're new, again applies if you're watching on the replay as well. Please do subscribe. It is free to do so, but don't forget to hit that notification bell so you never miss an upload or a live show. You can, of course, become a member of the Toon Review and support the channel that way by hitting that join button underneath the two of us. And as usual, super chats are available using the dollar sign at the bottom of the live comments, and that will guarantee your comments to be read out on the show. Good morning, Billy.
Good morning, and good morning to all in Viewerland.
And how are we this morning after that, very good semi-final last night in the Euros?
Well, it was just a fantastic game of football, wasn't it? I mean, Spain, Christ almighty.
That kid is some player, by the way. I mean, I was watching your commentary, listening to your commentary last night, as well as obviously having the game on. And when that went in, it was weird because obviously, as you know, me and Susan and the kids are heading to Fuerteventura on Saturday, and we just thought, wow, what an atmosphere that's going to be in Fuerteventura if Spain play England in the final.
Oh, God, yeah.
And just as we said that, France went and scored. Which was bizarre. But then Spain came back. I mean, thoroughly deserved to win the game. I thought they were the better side.
No, without doubt.
And I still believe that Spain are the actual winners of the tournament, Billy, to be honest. I can't see even England touching them if you know. However, England are tonight, of course, and you can see that game, listen to that game live on the Toon Review tonight with me, Billy, and Alex. Full commentary of the game, of course. Watch it on the TV, knock the commentary off, and of course, listen to us. I'm thoroughly looking forward to it. I know England have been shite through the tournament, Billy, but it is a semi-final, and you've got to get excited about that.
Yeah, 100%. And we're experiencing these games now. Of a Dutch team, I don't think so. I think we've got an advantage there. Experience could be the key to us winning tonight, I think.
I mean, I've got a soft spot for the Dutch, I have to say, because I love their supporters. I love the way they go about, they conduct themselves brilliantly. And, I've seen shots already. They're out on the streets already with the dancing and the songs and it's so nice to see, I guess, a bunch of football fans, celebrating the game that way rather than, causing trouble, singing stupid songs and just really taking it all in, enjoying themselves, etc.
Yeah, it's the way it should be. Just hope our lot don't get, as they sometimes do, a little bit boisterous and got to spoil the atmosphere, because I think it'll be a great atmosphere tonight. I really do. Yeah,
absolutely. So don't forget, we kick off the show kicks off at 7:45. We'll bring you the team news and everything, and then the game starts, of course, at 8 p.m. Right, on to Newcastle United, which is the main crux of this. Oh, by the way, before we start, don't forget, in the description, there is the link to the Football Content Awards 2024. I keep having to go on about it because we really want to get there again. So even if you have voted, just keep going, clear your cache, go back, explain why you're voting for the Toon Review, and of course, put us in the category of Best Club Content Creator - Premier League. So that's Best Club Content Creator - Premier League. The link is pinned right at the top of the description. Right, main story, Billy. A player that we have mentioned numerous times on this channel, and of course a lot of people have mentioned him in Viewerland as well, which is Jonathan David from Lille. And we've never been able to do anything as in look at him, because he's never been linked before. But reports came out last night linking us heavily with an imminent bid for him. Now, this is a player, Billy, who I think will transform the front line of Newcastle United. He's 24-year-old, and he's a whippet, and he seems to be around for years and years. But this kid is a player, and he scores goals for fun. So this isn't the right. I don't think this is the right wing problem solved. I mean, he can play there, definitely. He can play all over the place, but this is another striker, Billy.
Yeah, and like you said there, he's rapid. I mean, the pace he's got is unbelievable, and he's different to Isaac. It's pure pace and power, but he's a good finisher. Scores goals. He's been excellent in the French league. You know, over the years, scored lots of goals there. Our fans have been calling for him since the takeover happened. So eventually we got there. So yeah, I'm looking forward to. If it does happen, let's see what happens, because he's a hell of a player. I don't think we're coming in as number one striker, but he offers you something different to what our number one striker is. So
yeah. A brief look at him, Billy, for his appearances. So this is season 2021, which of course was hit by COVID and stuff. But he made 48 appearances for Lille, scoring 13 goals. 21-22 season, he made another 48 appearances with 19 goals. 22-23 season, 40 appearances with 26 goals. And in 23-24, another 47 appearances and another 26 goals. Now, people can say what they want about Liga in France. You know, everybody will say, oh, yeah, it's a farmers' league and all of this. He can only do what's put in front of him. And what I noticed by that stat, Billy, he doesn't get injured.
No, plays lots of games, doesn't he? Lots and lots of games. That's what you want. You want a reliable striker. And at the moment, we don't have one. Let's be perfectly honest about it. I mean, even Isaac's kind of a bit glass made of glass, isn't he? So,
yeah.
Jonathan David would be a regular staple person to have on the side because he's always fit. 100%.
Somebody's asking why my arm looks like it's on fire. It's the noon badge. Of course, with the green screen in the background, it looks like it is on fire. But hey, I'm on fire. What can I say? So that's what it is. Yeah, absolutely. Can't wait. Some people have been asking me if I'm going to do any shows from abroad. I am taking all my equipment over because I think if there is sort of big news, you know, what I did think about, Billy, actually Susan mentioned this last night, is if it is England-Spain in the final, I might try and join you two live before the game and give you some sort of idea what the atmosphere is like where I am. Given that there'll be plenty English there and also plenty Spaniards and probably plenty Germans. So, so it'll be a very interesting atmosphere where I'm going, providing England get through, of course. I have to say, if Holland do win tonight, then I'll be wanting the Netherlands to win in the final. So, I shouldn't really say that when I'm going to a Spanish island, but hey-ho, we'll see what happens. Mike says he definitely fits our profile and be a fantastic addition for me if he comes to the Toon. Jonathan David, yes, from me, would be a great signing. Excellent. Let's have a look. Adam says would definitely have Jonathan David at the Toon. I mean, this is a signing, Billy. There seems to, a link that has really sort of whet the appetite and got the fans going a little bit because of, maybe the strikers that we've been looking at in the past, i.e. Calvert-Lewin, etc. They're not of the same caliber as this guy. And the fact, Billy, is that Lille, from what the report says, Jonathan David, who could be available for £25 million.
That's an excellent price. That's
staggering, Billy.
It is staggering. Yeah. Is he close to the end of his contract? I guess he must be for that price because he's a proven scorer in Ligue 1. I'll be all over that if I was.
Well, I'm not 100% sure on his contract. I haven't actually checked that, but obviously, I think on the transfer show, Stato will be itching to do this guy, so we'll leave that to him because I don't want to take away from what Stato does on a transfer show, etc. Because I think he'll be absolutely itching to cover Jonathan David. He has been for a while, but there is a couple of other Premier League clubs interested. Tottenham Hotspur are one of them. Guess who the other one is, Billy?
Is it Chelsea, by any chance?
It is Chelsea, yes. Can you believe that, Billy?
Yeah, well, it's shocking, really, isn't it?
Honestly, every single link to a player, it always puts Chelsea in there. Kev says we got Bruno from Liga. No problems. He's not injury prone, scores goals. He'll only get better with us and Eddie Howe. Indeed. Anthony says Moussa Sissoko was just signed for Watford. He has. Didn't he go to Watford for a little while before he went back into Europe? I'm not sure. But it's an interesting signing that for Watford, considering, I mean, he must be
58.
Yeah, something like that, isn't he? Stefan says, my only concern is I feel like he will wanting to be number one with his talent. Well, the thing is, Billy, I know this is very obvious, and of course he'll want to come in as a number one, but he gives Eddie Howe so many more options, doesn't he, on that side? You know, he can play out wide, he can play through the middle, he could sit just behind Isak. There's so many positions that Jonathan David can cover.
There is, yeah. He's just so rapid, isn't he? But the fact of the matter is, all footballers come in and want competition for a spot. And I think even Isak would relish decent competition for that number 9 spot from someone else, because Callum Wilson obviously isn't that because he's always injured. So, yeah, it's an interesting one. One, really is. Someone I look forward to watching because he, as I say, that pace he has is rapid.
Yeah. Dean Young, thank you for your super chat. He says, I have learned if we know about it, it's not happening. Well, you know, let's be honest. There is, but there is some sightings that you do pick up on all the time. Does this mean Gordon is going? Isak pushed out left?
No.
I wouldn't say that. If we bring Jonathan David in, it's Callum Wilson I say leaving, Billy. You know, that obviously I think Miggy and Wilson are the two players that have been highly linked with moves away from the club. And I think if Jonathan David comes in, that's Wilson down the pecking order further for me, because I know Isak's ahead of him. Jonathan David certainly would be ahead of him. So that's not going to ring well with Callum. And I think that's possibly an alert to Callum to say, you know, maybe his time is up at Newcastle if we do sign Jonathan David. Of course, it's a big if at the minute. These are very much just media reports. But again, these media reports are from the bigger media outlets, not the little ones. So I think it's the price that appeals to everybody. £25 million for a player of his capabilities is quite incredible.
It is, yeah. It's a fantastic price. Can guarantee that's down to contract issues. Must be coming towards the end of it. Maybe a year left, and they're trying to cash in before he goes for anything next summer. That's all I can think of, because that's a ridiculous price for someone of his quality. Yeah.
Foxy makes an interesting point. The Canadians want Jonathan David out of the national team. Pathetic performances from him in Copa America. Never turns up when it matters, sadly. He's great against the relegation teams, though. Foxy, let's be honest, we've said this about a few players that come to Newcastle, and there's doubts about certain attitudes, about performances. Let's leave this to Eddie Howe, is all I would say on that one, because this is Eddie Howe we're talking about. He is a professional at getting the very best out of his players. And he will give, if Jonathan David did come in, Eddie Howe would immediately give him his expectations of what he needs to do. And if he doesn't pull his weight, he doesn't get in the team. But I think it's not a really risky outlay of 25 million quid. I mean, this guy is only 24, and he's got a long way to go, and he could still improve even further, Billy.
Yeah, 100%. Yeah, definitely. Especially in a different league with different outlooks from different managers, especially Eddie Howe. You know, the kind of improvement he's made on all of our other players. That would surely be a pulling point for someone to come in such as Jonathan David, without a doubt.
Ali B, happy birthday. Have a great day. I hope you've had a great start to your birthday, and thank you for tuning in this morning. Matt says, with his pace, he would cause massive problems on the break, which is sometimes how Eddie likes to play. And if he's got players that can adapt to his style, which I think Jonathan David is one of those players, Billy, he can adapt to Eddie Howe's style. There's no doubt about that.
Yeah, 100%. And look, that's a fantastic point. You know, in quick transition with someone of that pace, and then you've got Gordon on one side, potentially a speedy right winger as well. It's going to be hard to defend against.
Yeah. Keith says, I noticed this morning reports saying Calvert-Lewin wants to go to the scum at Manchester. Well, Man United are linked with him, yeah.
Good.
Very strange one, that. But yeah, absolutely, as long as he's not linked with us. Terry says, Jonathan David would be fantastic. Great stats and still a very young age. Toon Leroy, Jonathan David is exactly what we need. So go get him. Stats are class. Age is good. And the price is definitely right. He's got 1 year left on his contract. So that's probably why he's 25 million quid. And you can guarantee Lille will want to cash in on that, because Jonathan David will want to probably move on to bigger and better things after his contract anyway. So the risk losing him for nothing. And they'd rather get £25 million than absolutely Sputnik, really.
Especially as league and clubs are struggling financially.
Yeah. Now, what it did mention in the report is that Newcastle are no longer considering Dominic Solanke because apparently he's got a £65 million release clause in his contract, and Newcastle United are not going to be activating that. Now, when you think about
that, Bournemouth,
well, absolutely, £65 million release clause for Dominic Solanke or £25 million for Jonathan David, I know where I'd be putting my checkbook. That's a certain, no doubt about it. Now, what he obviously he does a podcast, Billy, as well. Jonathan David, he does it with fellow forwards Kyle Larron, and it's called Striker's Corner. Now, this is what he said on the 3rd of July. There's always a lot of noise, but I'm still here and I'm still at Lille. From there, after the Copa America, we'll see if I end up going back to Lille for pre-season or if I'm somewhere else. I don't know. Things are obviously moving slow. I think things are going at the right pace. Obviously, I think everyone sees there's a lot of clubs interested. Right now, I'm still waiting for an offer to be put on the table to Lille. Then after, I'll have to make a choice and make the right choice, whether it's to leave or to stay, or what team do I pick. Interesting comments, and I would assume, Billy, that means that, more than likely he's on his way.
Yeah,
he's on his way out of Lille anyway.
Yeah, I mean, as I said, the league and clubs are really struggling financially. It'll be some kind of reward for the French, Lille in this case, to get some kind of money in, because money is tight, and it's very tight in the French league, unless you're PSG, of course. Well, so, he might do them a favour by leaving, because if he stays another year and goes for nothing, then
it'll cripple him. And to be honest, Doug, morning, Doug, makes a good point here. Good morning, guys. Apparently the league on teams, which I think are 8 teams, are in need of much needed cash. Big cash flow problems over there, so you might get David for less than the quote of 25. Well, I'm sure Newcastle will probably negotiate the deal, and if they can come out with an even better one, then hallelujah. Absolutely. But there you go. Now, Jared Bowen's been mentioned again in the press this morning, Billy. This Jared Bowen story seems to be picking up a lot of traction over the last couple of days. And I know a lot of people said, we can't see him leaving London and all of that. However, it doesn't seem to be the case that, this could actually happen. And again, we're not saying it will or it won't, but it could.
I like Jared Bowen as a player. He's more like the Harvey Barnes on the left-hand side. He's not got the pace of some speedy wingers, but he's clever. He's really clever footballer, great finisher.
Yeah.
I just think it's too much money for someone of his age, if I'm perfectly honest. I think 27, 28 years of age. I'm not sure we get involved in something like that.
Interesting. JT Toon says, Jonathan David is a franchise in Canada. It would definitely boost our income in terms of short sales. I think you meant shirt sales. For a rumored 25 million quid in all, it's an absolute no-brainer. I completely agree. I think it is. Hypothetical, says Petrus. Bowen for 70 million and Wilson. Are you in?
Not for me.
Not for 70 million, no. I think that's a deal that could happen. That is a deal that could happen. But not for 70 million quid plus Wilson. I think that is extortionate. I mean, I think there was a lot of crap going around the internet that West Ham were actually looking for 100 million for him. I think West Ham can had away and shite, to be honest.
Maybe they don't want to sell him. Maybe that's how don't want to sell.
Yeah. Well, they wouldn't, would they? They wouldn't want to sell Bowen. I mean, Bowen himself, he's not making any noises that he wants to leave. But having said that, he's away on international duty at the minute, which is why I think after Sunday, things might start ramping up on the international players side of things.
I mean, you've seen how we react to the Anthony Gordon rumours. This is the same for them, for West Ham. So, yeah, I'm paying no heed in it, if I'm honest.
Yeah, exactly. But, I would say if we were putting Callum Wilson in the deal, Billy, 45 plus Wilson?
Yeah, I'd say so.
Yeah,
something of that ilk. But,
let them work it out. Jonathan David is like another Isak, since he's able to play on both wings and down the middle. Plus, the price is absolutely insane for someone of his quality. I can't disagree with that. I cannot disagree with that. I think this is a deal that would make sense. And it's a deal that would probably get the Newcastle United fans extremely excited as well because of who he is. He's never, his injury record's there for all to see. He loves playing football. He's out there on the pitch all the time. And if people are questioning his attitude, then I think they need to have a look at just how many games he's actually played and the fact that he loves being on the pitch. If he had an attitude problem, then he wouldn't play the games that he's played. That's a certainty. He'd just be sitting on his arse and he picking up a wage. But I don't think he's that kind of player.
No, definitely not.
Now, one other player that we're going to come on to, Billy, is a central defender. And that central defender, as Pedro mentions there, is Antonio Silva from Benfica. Now, again, I think we have done him before.
We definitely have, yeah.
Yeah, because he's been linked for some time with Newcastle United. Now, the Portuguese defender is said to be valued at 60 million euros, which is roughly 50 million quid. But it's thought that a move at such a fee is unlikely after his underwhelming performances at Euro 2024. Now, it does say that he's dropped in form lately, Billy. That he's not had the best of times. But he's only 22. But he is rapid. He is incredibly quick. This says he's an incredibly strong player. He's very fast as well, clocking a top speed of 20 miles an hour last season, significantly higher than Sven Botman of just 17. Now, just 17 miles an hour. I would love to be able to run at 17 miles an hour, quite frankly. To put that into context, that 2.32 miles per hour gap is larger than the gap between the top speeds of Anthony Gordon and Dan Burn. So, yes, it's a lot if you look at it that way. But it says Silva's stock may have dipped of late, but he is still a Portuguese international who has been tipped for big things with the right coaching. He could easily get back on the path to superstardom. So, 50 million quid, Billy, I think is a little bit too much given that his form has dipped. He's not been playing well for quite some time, apparently. So, however, this is Eddie Howe managing them. And it comes to a very, very different kettle of fish when we're talking about Eddie Howe managing a player and how good that player can turn out to be. And again, 22-year-old. He could be a partner for Botman for years and years to come. And then, of course, we've got Lloyd Kelly in the equation as well.
Yeah, I mean, this is Benfica, isn't he, son? I think Silva.
Yes, he is. Yeah, Benfica, yeah.
This is the fella that famously, though, I jumped into an Uber once and there was a Portuguese driver. And when he found out I was a Newcastle supporter, he started waxing lyrical about Antonio Silva. Meant to be an absolute beast of a centre-half. He was a bit crap, I've got to say, in the game he played at the Euros. I think it was against Georgia, I'm not certain. But he was really poor. And so was his... I mean, they rested Pepe. They rested Ruben Diaz and played Silva. I'm thinking it might have been Inacio next to him, and both of them were awful. Yeah. But, I mean, he's a young kid. They're not all going to have great games every day of the week, are they? Fantastic potential. Really good defender. Did watch a bit of him on YouTube after we did our last show. Yeah, hell of a player.
He seems to me like a player that he's one of those players now, Billy, that maybe just needs a change of scenery. And a new challenge. The Portuguese league isn't exactly, I mean, there's a couple of big teams in Portugal, as we do know. However, the Premier League is a very, very, very different animal. And he will be challenged very differently than what he is in the Portuguese league. And I think under Eddie Howe's guidance, this kid could become a superstar because he's rapid as well. And, Fabian Schär, he's getting on now. He's probably only got a year left with Newcastle. This kid would give us so many different options. And again, I think if we can get him at the right price, that is what it boils down to me, because I can't really see Newcastle going in and saying, yeah, we'll give you 50 million quid for him. Because is he really worth 50 million quid at the minute? That's what you have to remember. I don't think he's at that level yet.
No, he's nowhere near his full peak. Nowhere near it. I mean, you're buying a lot of it for potential.
Yeah,
but I think he's going to be really, really good potentially wise. Yeah, I do honestly. I think honestly, he's when he reaches the heights of what he's going to get to, that's another Botman. It's another Botman type centre half quality wise.
Well, it's funny because the report links him with Botman and sort of compares him with Botman. So I think that's what they're talking about as well. JT Toon says Antonio Silva is going to be a revelation. Under Eddie, he will become one of the league's best defenders, no doubt. Class is permanent, form is temporary.
I agree.
Defender Al Marquis signing, we all assumed it was a right winger. Well, we never assumed that, Trevor. We said that it could be a right winger and a centre back in 2 marquee signings. Why not? You know, we don't just have to bring 1 marquee signing in. Why not bring 2? And to be honest, is Jonathan David not a marquee signing as well? I mean, I know valuation-wise, no, if we bought him for £25 million, but bloody hell. I mean, if we were to get Silva and David and then and other on the right wing, holy cow. I mean, excitement would just go through the roof. And again, it would completely transform what people are saying about Newcastle United's transfer window right now, which is people are criticising it, saying that it's all dull and the players aren't very exciting. Suddenly, you know, we're getting linked with the big boys again.
Yeah, Antonio Silva is definitely a Mitchell-esque signing. No doubt about that. He likes to buy them when they're not quite at the full potential. Sometimes, most of the time, actually, they're unknown. Dani Olmo last night for Spain. That's one of his. You know, what a player he is.
Billy, Ryan has joined us from French Canada. And he says the club better not buy David. He's been so wasteful for Canada and not even close to Isak. Ryan, you've been banging on about this guy for what, 3 years now? Now, just because he's been wasteful for Canada does not mean that he's going to come in and be wasteful for Newcastle. This guy, you know damn well, is a baller and can absolutely smash it in the Premier League. Certainly under Eddie Howe. And you've got to think, Ryan, the price, man, the price. Lille are obviously desperate for money and will sell. And like a previous comment I made, you can get him at such a low evaluation that he's at even now. You know, Doug said that because they're desperate for money. So I don't know.
I'm not sure he's got the competition. I'm not sure he's got the competition in the Canadian side to actually drop him, have they? Yeah. I'm not aware of any other fantastic Canadian strikers or good Canadian strikers, I must be honest. I mean, they can't play Alphonso Davies everywhere. They tried to, but he is that good, mind.
Matt says David couldn't hit the side of a barn door in the Copa America, and the value is 50 million. It's not, Matt. Lille have come out and said that, and he's in his last year of his contract as well. So Lille aren't going to get the full valuation for him anyway. Whatever he's valued at online, that isn't what Lille are going to get for him because he's in the last year of his contract and they need the money. There is clubs in France that are desperate for the money, and Lille are one of those teams that will need to sell.
Yeah. And that's why teams aren't able to allow their players to without a contract and receive nothing for them, basically.
Yeah, absolutely. Ryan says only Canadian worth buying the direction we're going in is Davies. And maybe Kane. Kone, who just got to move to Marseille. Well, obviously, he's not going to come if he's moved to Marseille.
Or Tomori, of course.
Yes, absolutely. Who could be a Canadian very soon.
Oh, he can't be. He's already played for England.
Oh, no, he has, hasn't he? Yes, he has. Dani Olmo has been top draw this tournament. Well, some of the Spanish players.
One of Mitchell's is.
Yeah, how much would you say that the kid is? 16-year-old. How much do you think he's worth now? I know he turned 17 just before the final, doesn't he? The day before. I mean, so you're looking at a 17-year-old wonder kid. I mean, it's frightening how much he could cost, Billy.
No, I don't think there's a price you could actually think of. You know, this is the new Messi, literally the new Messi. The kid's an absolute beast. You know, to have two kind of 16, 17-year-olds playing for the same club, albeit 20 years apart.
Yeah.
It's unbelievable, really. They've got a real gem there. I can't even put a price on him. I can't.
Harry says 75 mil easy. I'd say quite a bit more than that. He's got a $1 billion buyout clause, which is exactly what the Spanish clubs do. They did it with Gavi, didn't they? Yeah. They put a massive price on him as well. So yeah, Antonio Silva could be a possibility, Billy. And again, it's pros and cons. And I think what us as fans have to take into consideration here, Billy, is whenever we're linked with a player, that player is always going to have pros and cons. So there will be fans buzzing about it. I mean, I'm absolutely buzzing about Jonathan David, but clearly there is some people who have seen him in the Copa America and thought, we do. I think it's different because of who our manager is. And I think that's what you need to take into consideration as well. Fubar says, I read on an article the other day that we are linked with Kubo. Fubar, Nice try, Sunshine.
He said he wrote the article. Fair play to you.
Yeah. Still not linked with him, guys. I mean, it's not going to happen, is it? Unless they've got something big planned just before we go to Japan, of course. Can you imagine that, Billy? I mean, 2 days before we go to Japan, we announced Kubo as our next signing. It would be absolutely mental in Japan.
It would be like the Beatles going to Japan all over again.
God. Yeah. I mean, do you remember when we signed Muto? You know,
a little bit different.
Yeah, but he was big in Japan at the time.
Everyone's been big in Japan at some time.
And I still don't think that kid was given a chance. Me, I really liked Muto, and I thought he had a lot to offer. However, that was Paul's very own article. No, it wasn't. Fubar wrote it. He's just said he wrote it. Shamrock says he's big in Japan. Absolutely, he's huge. But you know what these Japanese and sort of Asian players are like when they come into the Premier League or they play in Europe. They are massive back home. Huge names. Yes, Kyle, ASM's potentially back in Europe under Jose. Interesting move that for Maxi, Billy, because we know how frustrating Maxi can be, and we know how very disciplined Mr. Mourinho can be. That is an interesting pairing.
Well, if I was going to pick a player not to play for Jose Mourinho, I think ASM would be top of that list. I've got to be honest. I can't believe Jose Mourinho is thinking about so unless he's changed that much and he's released himself. Yeah. Jose, I mean, not.
Yeah, we do see he's mellowed out a bit in his older age, haven't we? So. Warrants is very happy with links to Jonathan David and others, but so pissed off with the goalkeeper situation, it's a farce. Well, Billy, yesterday there was more talk about us going in and actually meeting the £30 million fee that Burnley want for James Trafford. I cannot understand that, and I will not understand it.
Well, it's very much has got along the same lines as what we did for Livramento and Lewis Hall, I guess. It's similar to that, buy them now because at some point in the future they're going to be much more expensive than that. And on the back of James Trafford's season last season, I would have thought now is the optimum time to buy him for a cheaper price. 30 million for me, no, absolutely not.
No, 15 would be what between 10 and 15. I have to be
honest.
This
time last year, I might pay 30 for him.
Hell yes, yeah, absolutely. Certainly after what he. After what he was buzzing after that tournament last summer, wasn't he? And then it just didn't happen. Tim says the board are meeting at Newcastle this week to discuss transfers. Indeed, they are. Mr. Chairman is over as well, which gives you the insight, Billy, that maybe he has come over to just oversee things and try and get a couple of transfers through.
Yeah, I would think so. I think. They'll want to know what kind of financial restraints we're under, if we are under any now. Maybe he's going to come over and assess the situation as can we afford to kind of take the points deduction if next season we're in that kind of situation again. And if so, he's probably going to open the purse strings, isn't he? It'd be fantastic if he does.
Well, yeah. John says Jonathan David scores 1 goal in every 2 games for Canada, just like he does for his club. Well, that's the record that he's got. And I just think it'd be a brilliant signing. Any chance that Trafford is a smokescreen for us still working on Mamadashvili? It's quiet on Mama transfer news now. I don't know what's going to happen. Yeah.
They probably want about 60-70 million from now, and quite right after his performances at the Euros.
Yeah. Right. Another report, Billy, which was only published about half an hour before we went live. Arsenal in talks with Newcastle United hero as a left field signing. Who do you think that man is, Billy?
Left field? Is it Anthony Gordon?
It's not position. No. It's kind of a left field signing, so it's not like
someone you're not expecting.
Yes, but I mean,
is it Isaac?
No.
Is it Miggy?
It's Bruno. Funny enough. Arsenal are in the market for a Newcastle United cult hero to bolster their midfield. Arteta is said to be eyeing current Newcastle man Bruno Guimaraes, touted as the top option for both Arsenal and Manchester City. The Brazilian's £100 million release clause has just expired, theoretically making him a more affordable option than he previously would have been, but it's another Newcastle favourite who may sign instead. Arsenal reportedly weighing up a move for Real Sociedad and Spain star Mikel Merino. So, listen, what annoys me, Billy, is when I read reports like this and they say that, because Bruno's release clause has finished, right? They think that Newcastle United would sell him for less than what his release clause was, which I think is utterly bizarre, because I personally think he's actually more than what his release clause was.
I think so. I think the release clause is because it was in that period of time where, before the financial kind of restraints and things were worked out in the month of June. So it would have been a cheap option to buy then, but
yeah,
no way on earth we're selling for less than 100, and I'd want more than 100 if I'm honest.
Yeah, I find it astonishing. I find it absolutely astonishing. I mean, the way they talk about this is, again, they think that Newcastle United is just a selling club. They just think, Newcastle United, they'll sell him at a more affordable price. Why the fuck would we do that? Why on earth would we turn around to an Arsenal or Manchester City and say, oh, yeah, you can take him for 70 or 80, take your pick, just make us an offer. Absolutely ridiculous. And again, we're not that club anymore. We're just not.
No, 100% not.
I mean, Bruno himself, I think, is committed to playing for Newcastle next season. I don't think there's any doubt in my mind about that.
I agree. I'd kind of want to give him the price. We don't want to Jared Bowen type side of price. Okay, give us 180 million quid and we'll discuss it.
Yeah. It's one of those, isn't it? That's just a pain in the ass to read. But it's one of those, Billy, that will continue on through the transfer window simply because of who Bruno is. Our top stars, our real elite players, they're always going to be linked with other clubs, but until Newcastle United start winning things, Billy. Because once Newcastle United start winning things, that's when maybe the media will class us as an elite club and stop linking our top stars with moves away, and instead top stars actually coming to Newcastle.
Yeah, 100%. Once you start winning things, then we'll be approaching the Arsenals of this world for their players and see how they like it. I'm sure they won't like it.
Well, I mean, it's annoying, Billy. That's what I would say. It's extremely annoying. Now, just before we leave and finish the show, just a little bit of a heads up about the game tonight, Billy. Gareth Southgate is expected to keep Kieran Trippier at left back, despite Luke Shaw being fit. Now, for me, I would play Luke Shaw because of the balance he gives on the team. That's nothing against Kieran, but the balance that Luke Shaw gives. And if Luke Shaw can only give us an hour, because obviously he's been out for a long time, that's more important to me than bringing him on when we're a goal behind.
100%. I'd start with Luke Shaw tonight. No doubt about it. He's the only left back in the squad, let's be honest. Ridiculous in the first place that Gareth Southgate backed himself into that corner.
Yeah.
But he did, and he's done it before. And if he says he's fit, then you play him. I know he hasn't played started the game since February. But if he says he's fit and you give him the benefit of the doubt, if he knows his body better than anyone else, start him. No doubt about it.
Yeah, and of course, it looks like he's going with Harry Kane. Did you see the goal that Ivan Toney scored in training?
He's unbelievable, isn't he? You see him play darts, no look darts, and no look.
Yeah, he everything's no look about him. But the weird thing for me is that it came from. I mean, Jordan Pickford put it right on his right foot, and it was a tremendous volley in the top corner. I mean, he's just so much better than what. Than Harry Kane gives us. Now, one other little thing about... Sorry, Billy, what are you going to say?
I was just going to say, the video yesterday, what point I want to make vociferously, vehemently, Matteo Guendouzi. No. Can't stand the player. Hates him.
Well, I mean, that just came from nowhere yesterday. And the thing is... I
don't even like being linked with him. He's shit.
Well... I was staggered, but I was actually staggered at how many Newcastle fans in the comments said they would have him.
Oh,
I mean, I don't see what he would bring. We've already got that kind of tenacious midfielder.
He brings.
Yes. Well, he looks like Cucurella, doesn't he? He looks like a cookie monster.
Yeah.
But then you've got Joe Linton, who's that type of tenacious midfielder, who's a lot more physical, a lot stronger, and a lot better player. I don't think we need any centre midfielders anymore. There's other positions which I think we should be highly concentrating on. Now, one other report, Billy, about Anthony Gordon. Now, obviously, all the criticism that Southgate's had and things like that have been labelled at him, and then we're all been saying, oh, how must Anthony Gordon feel and all of this? Well, he's done an interview, and he's hailed the Euros as an amazing experience, even though he's barely featured, which is very interesting. To actually come out and say that. This is what he said. He says it's been an amazing experience. We couldn't have wished for it to be any better so far. The challenge is go on and win it. So we have got a long way to go still, but it's going really well so far. And one fan said, who was watching the trainer, says watching Gordon smash every drill, knowing he won't play a minute, is depressing. Gordon is on fire. Why is he not playing? Just picking up on what the fans have been saying on social media. Interesting comments, but obviously you did say, was it you or Stato that did say that, Billy, that, you know, he's still, it was Stato, wasn't it, when he said that it's still an amazing experience for Gordon to be around that tournament experience with the senior team?
Yeah, I guess what he's saying is it's political, really. It's just diplomacy, I guess. You know,
yeah, he's not going to come out and say Southgate,
you know, shit this. I've hated sitting on the bench.
Yeah,
I'm lonely. I feel I'm depressed. You know, he's not going to say that, is he? He's going to say it's a fantastic experience.
Yeah,
this, that, and the other, and brilliant.
Indeed. So we'll see what Anthony Gordon really thinks about that situation when he brings out his book in years to come, and then he can properly explain how he feels, I would imagine. Now, Billy, I hate cricket, absolutely despise it, but you don't.
No, watching now, good enough.
Well, there you go. DX Case's thoughts on Jimmy Anderson playing his final Test match.
Yeah, it's a shame. It's a shame that he's 43, or something of that age, ilk. He's a fantastic. Well, he'll be 43 by the time the next Ashes come along. So,
yeah,
building for the future. I mean, he's been the best bowler England's ever had, the best fast bowler in history, wickets wise. So, yeah, it's a sad day, a sad test, in fact. But what a career he's had. I've never seen that happening when he started. I must be honest. When he first started playing, I thought this kid's crap, but obviously not. Brilliant.
Well, hopefully not too many years have fallen asleep during that little bit of a cricket comment and comment in the segment there. But listen, thank you very much for joining in this morning, guys. Let's see how this turns out, of course. Don't forget, 7:45 tonight, we are live with England's semi-final live commentary of the game between England and the Netherlands, of course. It is going to be, hopefully, a cracker, but very nervy anyway. It is England. It's always going to be nervy. So we'll just see what happens. But if there is any Newcastle United news this afternoon, then we'll touch on that, obviously, at halftime in the England game and bring it all to you on that show tonight. So you won't miss any Newcastle United news if there is any this afternoon. But hopefully we get some signings or things start to move forward now with these players that we're linked with. But we will see. As usual, it is a huge roller coaster ride with Newcastle United. But thank you, everybody, for watching. Billy, thank you for your company. Mons, thank you very much. And, of course, to you guys out there, thank you very much for tuning in this morning. Have a fantastic rest of your Wednesday. And we'll see you all back here at 7:45 for the big semi-final, England versus the Netherlands. Until then, take care.
Pass the Dutchies with the England side. Come on.
Come back and check out some green.